Kombat 2021 stars Louis Tan as Cole Young, who is an amateur MMA fighter that is soon to be dragged into another sport of sort. Cole Young is dragged into a tournament that is labeled as Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat is a tournament where the champions of other realms get together and have a fight to the death till they die. And it is very bloody. It is very spectacular to look at. And there's... Did I mention blood? Now look, I'm not going to be one to sit here and tell you I know every little bit about Mortal Kombat. I don't play the games. I don't know the lore. I'm not the biggest fan of Mortal Kombat. But I do know this, that they have just a gigantic following. And what's really cool to see is that this franchise is still keep going on, even if it does seem a little repetitive, it looks like to me. But, I mean, hey, they got another movie for it, so, I mean, that's cool, I guess. That may come across as a little harsh, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just shocked that it took this long for another really big mainstream Mortal Kombat movie to be made. Now, granted, the last one that they made didn't really put a good taste in a lot of people's mouths, because it's just a garbage fire of trash burning inside a swamp that just nobody wants to go by. But here's the thing. If you saw the trailer, you basically know that this movie is significantly better than the last one, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. First thing to get out the way, let's get some good stuff in first, because there's good stuff and then there's some bad stuff. It's not a perfect movie. It's not one of these movies that's going to be revolutionary. It's Mortal Kombat. It's Mortal Kombat. Now, the biggest praise that this movie will get, and rightfully so, is the fights and the special effects used for the fights. It is spectacular to look at. The CG animation and practical effects used in the Mortal Kombat movie is something to behold. Really, the only other movies that I think have better special effects or better action than this is the John Wick franchise. And, you can give or take this with that. I mean, it's definitely two different types of styles of action. One is more combat based in realism with guns and knives and sort, whereas Mortal Kombat is based on these supernatural characters with these abilities that just kind of just go at you and, really mess you up. If there's one universal thing that people will say about this movie, which should be true, is that the effects, the fights, this movie delivers on all of that. If you are going for the movie to have great special effects with great kills and great fatalities of sorts, you will get your money's worth. There is no doubt about that in my mind. However, as I said in my last video with King Kong vs. Godzilla, which some people have told me personally that they were shocked by the review of the score, at least for it, but the same goes for this movie. The story is, let's say, underwhelming. To say that this movie had expectations going in based on its lore and its background for a fan, for me, was not there. I went into it thinking that it's going to have a lot of cool fights, it's going to have some interesting effects, and let's see how the story and the characters develop, because really when it comes down to it is that if your story is not good, or if your story lacks in explanation, or it gives you too much explanation, and if your characters are boring or just uninteresting as a whole, your movie would not be that good. Now, that's not to say that Mortal Kombat is completely trash in any of those senses. As I said, the concept of Mortal Kombat, and from what I've heard from different people before seeing the movie and after talking with people after the movie, there is a lot of cool stuff that can be used in this franchise, it seems like, because it does seem like that they want to go in that direction to put some more movies out there for the Mortal Kombat people. Now, whether they'll rush these out or not is beyond me. I think that they should take their time and write some better stuff with it and really explain it better, or at least make some interesting characters. But it's Hollywood. I feel like this movie is just going to be the cash grab that they want it to be, which it probably will be. One of the things that hurts the plot as well, not just because it's not explained enough, is that the characters are just bland a lot of the time. Like, some of the characters are interesting and cool, and especially Kato. Kato is by far the saving grace in this movie. His humor is just amazing. He's just this dude that just doesn't care. He doesn't give a fuck. He's just like, I'm here to say what I want, do what I want. You know, this is all of me. This is what you're going to get. I like that. But unfortunately, everybody else is not that interesting. And what I don't like about this movie is that it feels like the writers and the people who made it are just making a movie specifically for those who played the game, and they're not interested in getting the people who never played it or have little knowledge about it. They're not trying to give them that extra information, because I don't think that they want to displease the fans to be like, I don't want to hear the story because I already know it. I just want to get to the fights, which you will get that, you know, with this series if that was the intention that they went with. But they kind of just went with we're going to skim over everything and just hope you're only here to see fights. And the problem, I don't think, is with the writing per se for everybody. I do think actually the main character, Cole, just doesn't come across as like authentic sometimes. I think he's kind of wooden. I think he's kind of bland in a lot of scenes. And same goes for a bunch of other characters. They're kind of thrown in halfway through the movie, and we're expected to care about certain aspects involving them and their backstory and what happens. And it's just like, it was supposed to be some sort of like connection between the audience, and I just didn't buy it. The underdeveloped characters goes for almost everybody in this movie, not just, you know, Kato is pretty cool, but I mean, like, it's one guy out of this entire cast. And while there isn't like the selection screen type version of characters in this movie, there is a lot of people in this movie, and we spend time with a good portion of them, and we don't know much about them. Personally, I wish they would have explored a lot more of these characters' backstories. There's certain characters in these movies that it's just you're expected to care when the actions of the movie play out, and I really didn't. Listen, if you're just trying to go to this movie just to have a good time and watch some fights and don't really care about character development or character aspect or plot structure, that's completely fine. You know, there's different types of movies for different types of people. There's different genres for different types of people. It's completely okay to like a movie that doesn't have a lot of substance. However, I feel like this movie just didn't really bring a lot to that table. Everything else, you know, is fine to good in this movie, I will say that. But I think when you're introducing, or at least reintroducing, a new franchise into the general public, there's a lot of people that are born every day. Like, I mean, what if somebody never heard of Mortal Kombat before, and you gave them bare minimum stuff? Some people may take that and go, wow, I should really play the games and really, you know, whatever. And then some people are like, yeah, that was kind of cool. Wish I, you know, could have told us a little bit more. But I mean, outside of that, I'm not too interested. This movie clocks in at about under 2 hours. I think it's about an hour and 50 minutes. I really do think that they would have benefited if they gave an extra 10, 15 minutes even, just to give some backstory on some characters, just to really develop more things in this movie, its plot, characters, all that. All in all, I think the movie does well in certain aspects. Obviously, what they were going for, they achieved, and I'll probably give the movie 3.5 stars. It seems fair. It's not groundbreaking, like I said. It's a fun popcorn movie. You can have your friends come over, you're going to watch this movie, and you'll probably skip a lot of this stuff just to get to the fights, and you'll probably just enjoy the fights in and of itself and just, you know, be like, that was fun. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that review. Look out for my review for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. That will be coming out very soon, and I'll talk to you guys next time.